Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the beautiful circuit at Hockenheimring for the Raceface.Pro iRacing M2 vs Gen 3 Supercars. My name is Stephen Kernick, glad to have you guys here, and welcome to such a beautiful time after a little bit of a break from our racing action here at Raceface.Pro, especially for our Gen 3 Supercars and BMWs. Hockenheimring, a very, very amazing circuit that is both technical and high speed, requires you to really be on the button for your braking markers, but at the same time, you have got to be very, very consistent and patient, being the big number here, especially in the multi-class racing. But taking a look at our weather, it is going to be 30 degrees Celsius that the drivers are going to have to contend with here in Hockenheim, Germany, with this 4.5 kilometer circuit that is one synonymous with Grand Prix and has done so well in the past before eventually falling off of the F1 calendar, but still is actively raced by GT cars, motorbikes, and regional racing. It's still being used. It's still an amazing track, and now it gets to play host to the Raceface.Pro. Let's head down for our qualifying, though, as a number of our drivers starting to put in their best times, getting themselves out there. Julian Familiaris out on the circuit, really trying to get some power after returning from Port Elizabeth, or Quebec, in the Mustang, the IRC Mustang, where he had a little bit of fun. He is now going and having some great times in the Camaro. That being said, let's take a look to our points before we get going, heading into the championship, and starting off with our BMW M2s. It's Robin Bricknick leading out the championship with Bert Gildenays in second place, Maurice Pitcher running in third, Werner Swart, followed by Jaco van der Lith, Ruan de Toy, Robbie Teens, Fabian Boert, and along with Stephen Cakebread, Noah Hendricks, Nico Killerman, Etienne Swart, Willem Boerta, Fonny Kravenstein, Willem Pienaar, Yaz Amai, Mario Rez a little bit further down, Jan Engelbrecht in 18th position. And we carried down with likes of Julian van Rensburg and Doug Gerber, Jodson van Alswagen, Eugene Berryman, Yippie Simons, and Wellington Trike. Taking a look at our Gen 3 Supercars, our honorary leader of the entire championship, who has won it as decided by the drivers, Ryan Otten, still showing in the points, but will be classified as champion for Season 1 of the Supercars class. Julian Familiaris, we're going to be fighting out for second. He's on 152 points with Luke Lachesi, who on the points would be running in second place. He's actually fighting up in third. Werner Skuman will be chasing him down with 124 points. Paul Gerber in fifth place. Sergei Sarkov, Jan Krobler, who will be trying to make his way through. Bradley Searle, a little bit further down in 8th, Dimitri Pravadas, Stephen Kutzer, Jan Ferree, Christopher Simons, Justin Nieloff, Ricky Pittman, Jacques Sever, along with Luka Logovic, and John Janssen van Rensburg. Van Kersop, a little bit further down the order as we make our way through. That being said, let's take a look at our qualifying as times are starting to roll in for everyone. Luke Lachesi is leading out the charts as he powers through in the Gen 3 Supercar Camaro, absolutely hammering it through. Julian Familiaris running in second place. Then we got Johan Bager Krobler of the Hybrid Racing team running in third. Paul Gerber of Team Tryhard getting a little bit of snap oversteer on his way through, trying to get a little bit more power underneath him. Bert Gildenays leads out our BMW M2 class with Jaco van der Lith running in second place of class. Nico Killerman running in third. Willem Pienaar chases him down. Robbie Teens running in the bottom pack. Onno Kraus trying to put a time out on the board, getting used to the Gen 3 Supercar, especially around Hockenheim. It is very, very tight. As we see, Justin Nieloff puts time out on the board and into fourth place with the Ford Mustang colors. Gotta say, I do prefer the white and blue. That displays it a bit better. Noah Hendricks is yet to put a time on the board for our Gen 3 Supercars to have a bit of fun. Oh, sorry, he's in the BMW M2s. That being said, drivers looking to improve their time. Anna Kraus on for a good run in his Gen 3 Supercar, rounding the final corner on the power, flat out, giving it everything he's got, just trying to get a little bit more of a run before the line, and across the line, puts himself into 5th place. Going to be quite happy with that one, just getting ahead of Justin Eloff. Moving on to our BMWs, though, Bert Kildenace looking to get a little bit more of a run at the moment, leading out his class and hoping that he can get himself sorted out in the running order. So Bert Kildenace hoping that he's going to have a bit more of a run, as everyone getting that little bit more time underneath him, trying to figure out what's going to work out for them. How are they going to get the climb up through the order? Who's going to be able to take the charge to the front running pack, especially in this phenomenal drive? And who is going to be at the top of the charts? That being said, our Gen 3 Supercars, never an easy one. Neither is our BMWs. BMWs do have a lot of body roll to them that you've got to contend with, to deal with, and try and make yourself go and handle that little bit of a run. Where our Gen 3 Supercars, rather stiff, rather powerful, and you have to really just play the cards close to your chest, not wanting to go and drive it absolutely berserkly. Otherwise, you will land up in a world of hurt in a flash. We should have our classes grouped up a bit better for our running pack. So, as we do see, drivers trying to put their times in. Justin Eloff leads in, well, he's running in 5th place of the Gen 3 Supercars. And we've got Bert Kildenace leading out our BMWs at the moment. Jakob van der Lith doing the exact same time as Bert Kildenace, will try to improve his laps, ensuring that he can still stay in for the running order. And those 151 set by the BMWs definitely going and showing off what they can do. On a Kraus a little bit further back, trying to get the run in the Monster Energy Ford Mustang. Nearly said Chev. Ooh, can't do that. Every Ford lover will absolutely go and put me on the braai, fry me up, and walk away with it. A little bit further down, it's Nico Killerman trying to improve his time, with Robbie Teens running in 4th place. DHL colors on the BMW M2. You can see catching a little bit of a slide as he tries to keep as much power down as possible on the way through. 10th overall, but in his class, going and running 3rd last in the class, as he's trying to find out just that little bit of time. No improvement by any of our drivers through Sector 1, Sector 2, Sector 3 on this very hot track here at Hockenheim. And with only 10 seconds left, if you haven't put the lap time in, it is now or never to make it work. And I do think most of our drivers aren't going to be able to put in that top lap time, and we cut down to the end of qualifying. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you are excited just as me, as we're going to get ready to see the battle of the monsters, the David versus Goliath, the tight circuit of Hockenheim with multi-class, where you don't get to see the Gen 3 Supercars racing on the circuit. You only get to see it going and having a bit of fun out in more like your Aussies type circuits here on the iRacing service. But Hockenheim being one of those absolute stunners, a must-have race, and always just great time. Temperature is starting to pick up here at the beautiful track of Hockenheim, but we'll have to see how it all goes. It's going to be a rolling start for the drivers to ensure they get going. Let's take a look at our grid, ladies and gentlemen. Luke Lucchesi will start out the pack, leading out our Gen 3 Supercar, then followed by Julian Familiaris, Paul Herber running in 3rd, Johan Krobler in 4th, Justin Eloff runs in 5th with Arno Kraus on his tail. Then we have got Bert Kildenace leading out our BMWs with the likes of Arno Kraus. It's Bert Kildenace and then Jakob van der Lith. I do apologize getting that a bit confused. Nico Killerman in 9th, 10th place. Robbie Teens, followed by Willem Pilar. And rounding out our field here tonight is Noah Hendricks. A little bit of a smaller field that we usually get to see here in the series, but we are going to see some fun. Looks like we are switched up to a standing start, which is going to be rather fun, as drivers are going to be launching their way through. The Gen 3 Supercars will be able to drop the power early on. It's all about clutch control to get it right. Otherwise, you're going to be up a creek in 3 seconds flat for the likes of Bert Kildenace. You got to ensure you get going. So as you wait, lights on, lights on, lights on. 3, 4, 5, green lights, and we are going. A bit of a burnout, and the BMW is getting a fantastic run. Oh, contact from the back, and that looks to be one of our cars not getting started out. That is the Supercars car, and one of our Fords. That is Justin Eloff, who just didn't get a good run there, and it was Luke Lucchese that landed up with that big impact. He was not able to get it off the line. Got caught out. Julian Familiaris leads out the pack with Johan Krobler now in second place. Paul Herber running in third. Honor Kraus running in fourth. Then we've got Nico Killerman trying to keep it all together. He's got Burke Hildenace, who had that bit of a run. And we'll have to try and figure out what's going to work out here. Looks for the inside line. Can't really get it done. Willem Pienaar, Noah Hendricks going and getting their early jump off. But not an easy run through it all. Oh, we got a turn around from the A10. And that, unfortunately, looks to be Honor Kraus, who lost the rear early on. So not an easy time out there. Let's quickly go back and try and figure out what on earth happened on that start that caused such a scene for our drivers at the start of the race. So let's head back to the start of the race. There is Luke Lucchese, fired up on the line, waiting for the lights to go green, and he was stationary. It was contact from Eloff that landed up going and bouncing one of our BMWs into the wall. Luke Lucchese, stationary on the line, may have stalled the car, and unfortunately taking a bit of severe damage to it as well. So Hildenace trying to make up some time. On to going and getting away from Nico Killerman, but it is a close fight up in our Gen 3 Supercars as Paul Herber goes and maintains a good pace onto the back of Johan Bego Krobler, the sister team to the Hybrid Academy team. Now, it started out, well, Hybrid Racing. It started out as Team Tryhard, and then there was a deviation of the Hybrid Racing, which was the more competitive side, one would say. And they landed up going and fighting out for championships. There are drivers of that: Ryan Ottens, Daniel Rowe, Johan Bego Krobler, and many, many more went through the Hybrid Academy side. It was reinvented to the Hybrid Racing that we see currently, but it's racing against the sister team of Team Tryhard as they try and make up a little bit of time to Julian Familiaris with an early jump and now clearing out. But a little bit into the order here, Bert Hildenace and Nico Killerman trying to make their way through. They will see in the review mirror Justin Eloff, who came out of pit lane and is on the climb, having to just try and get his way up through the order. Round the outside, gets the power down. Oh, a little bit too much. Has the tail sliding out underneath him as he tries to get away early on. Honor Kraus going to be doing exactly the same thing. He was after an earlier spin, now trying to get a bit of heat into those tires, utilize the 5-liter power in that V8 to get past these BMW M2s without going and compromising their race. He's going to have to really dig deep on this running order to ensure he can get by. The straight line is going to be absolutely crucial to go and get past as he tries to catch Justin Eloff. Luke Lucchese back out on track, just trying to keep himself going at this point. Has to make his way past Jaco van der Lith just ahead of him. Jaco van der Lith was the BMW that unfortunately was one of the casualties off the start line and will have to try and figure his way through. Gentle, easy pass there. Luke puts his nose in, gets the power on, and a little bit wide, and suddenly Jaco van der Lith was a bit closer than planned. So Julian Familiaris leads out the pack. Johan Bego Krobler going and dealing with Paul Herber at the moment, and Paul constantly putting the power down, trying to figure out what's going to be the best opportunity for him during the course of this race. Going to go late on the anchors, try and get past, unfortunately too far wide, and got sucked into the battle. Justin Eloff driving with a bit of damage on that left-hand front. Will start to feel a bit of tire wear. The left-hand side not going to be going and coping with the drive. They do have spares once again to the pits. I'll be able to swap out those bumpers to get the suspension joint sorted out, back out on the circuit, and continue on the race. As we do see lap time starting to fall. Oh, big tank slapper for Justin Eloff as he came through the corner. Not having an easy time out there. Arno Kraus on his charge through, trying to figure out how he can get by as we jump on board with the Gen 3 Supercar, going down through the gears, waiting for the opportunity. Starts to feed the power on to try and see where he can get by. Not close enough to Nico Killerman to be at least a contention holder here as they're fighting for overall position. He's going to wait it out a little bit more and just taking nice and gently through the tights and twisties to ensure he can get going, as we do have a bit of a sideways action, and that unfortunately looks to be Nico Killerman, who's gone and lost out the drive. Suddenly there is going to be a wild race ahead of Arno Kraus, who's going to have to be patient on the way through, seeing the fight just ahead of him as Bert Kildenase, sorry, that was Bert Kildenase, I got the tank slapper, and Nico Killerman gets the pass done and dusted, as we do see our Gen 3 Supercar clearing both cars and leaving Bert to deal with Nico Killerman now, who leads out the pack as they power their way through. A little bit further back though, Noah Hendricks just keeping it consistent, staying in for the fight. Luke Becchese starting to make up some time, but it's Willem Pienaar that's actually going and being a part of this race. He's just slowly chipping away at the battle at hand. Nico Killerman going late on the brakes, trying to bring it back. Has got Bert Hildenace, looked around the outside, got on the power early, couldn't quite get the drive to get going. Paul Herber gets past the likes of Johan Krobler as Johan goes and catches the dirt, loses out the drive, and now Paul Herber for Team Try Hard Racing will have to try as hard as he can for 40 minutes to stay ahead of Bego Krobler, who is not going to be going and giving him any reprieve at this point. A little bit up ahead though, Bert Hildenace and Nico Killerman are still fighting it out. These BMW M2s, you can see, trying to stabilize the cars into the corner, really carrying as much momentum as possible. Debris out on circuit, so there will be the debris flag. Changes surface. The flag's being waved by our marshals here, just saying, listen, be very cautious, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of traction. They have a problem. Noah Hendricks, on the other hand, through caution to the wind, really kept on the power and now starting to draw in for the fight ahead of him. Our BMW is starting to get a little bit closer to one another, and the likes of Krobler onto the back of Herber. How's that for a bit of a tongue twister? The Team Tryhard and the Hybrid Racing now in tow, chasing each other down and not backing down from the fight. Will be absolutely hammering it on at this point, trying to figure out where can they get this pass to happen, where can they get it going, as Johan Krobler, as we jump on board with him, going through the gears, easy on the throttle, trying everything he can, and it does look like Paul Herbert having a bit of a difficult time out there as he tries as much as he can to keep it all in order. Going back down into our BMWs. Oh, that's Bert Hildenace missing out under braking. Noah Hendricks capitalizes and immediately going and onto the back of Nico Killerman. So Noah Hendricks in the 901 going and getting the run on Bert Hildenace, who made the mistake and now has Nico Killerman within his sights, looking to try and battle him out and really give everything he can. Looked around the outside, going for the switchback, dives up on the inside, side by side they go, wheel to wheel, wing mirror to wing mirror, absolutely charging down into the apex, and Noah Hendricks takes the lead of the race away from Nico Killerman. Nico is going to have to try and fight back, looks around the outside, tries to go for the inside line through the corner, couldn't quite get it all together, back onto the power, over the debris, lack of traction for our drivers as they fight their way through, doing everything they can to keep it all in order. as they get right onto the back of one another, as we haven't even hit that 10-minute mark. And so far, there has been, in the immortal words of Murray Walker, drama, drama, drama for our drivers right the way through. And wow, Nico Killerman taking a very, very wide line there, just not able to carry the momentum. But take a look at Johan Begger-Krubler onto Paul Gerber, is really chasing down. Side by side they go, looks for the undercut, gets onto the power, just couldn't get it though, as he tried his best, not able to get it hooked in. Will have to wait it out yet again. Here on board with Nico Killerman as he tries to go and line himself up side by side with Noy Hendricks heading into the hairpin. It's going to be who's the last in the late breakers. Fifth gear all the way through. Down the gears they go into second. Guarding the apex. And it is Nico Killerman going and getting the run on Noy Hendricks. But can he have the top end to make it work? Unfortunately not. And now that has gone and brought Bert Gildenaes back into the fray as he tries to put the pressure on immediately, giving it everything he's got to try and get that pass done and dusted. Looks around the outside, looks around the inside, sweeping across the nose and seeing where it goes. Willem Pienaar, on the other hand, starting to make that little bit of a climb. Don't count him out of the race just as yet. He is still concentrating on that little bit of momentum. Luke Lucchesi trying to make up some time after a devastating start to his race of not being able to get off the line. Johan Krubler on board with the Gen 3 supercar in a monstrous fight. The Ford Mustang going and plying his way through and seeing likes of Paul Herbert just ahead of him. Late on the brakes, gets it hooked in, and a little bit of close racing for the supercars. Paul Gerber going to line himself up for the fight side by side, nose to tail they go. Gerber not hanging back on Bago as he looks left, looks right, couldn't quite get the pass. Immediately trying to get that tussle on as much as possible. Once again, just not able to get onto the power as quick as he would like. We'll have to wait it out. Jumps around the outside, seeing just anywhere to go, looking for any gap to retake that second place of the race for the Gen 3 supercars. Critical points can be scored here tonight for the championship as we get closer and closer to the end of the first season, and everyone looking to go and push themselves a little bit more. Yellow flags though for Arno Kraus. Let's quickly take a look what happened to Arno Kraus. So out in the middle of nowhere by himself, unfortunately, going into the 100-meter board, late on the anchors and just locking up those fronts. Runs out a bit wide, gets back onto the power, and that was the first of our yellow flags. Second of our yellow flags, let's see, that was the same thing. Going and just locking up last minute and just couldn't slow the car down. Unfortunately, being a bit of a problem there. The Gen 3 supercars require you to really be on the ball. Going back though, let's take a look at the race. Noah Hendricks, Nico Killerman, and Bert Gildenaes on top of one another to ensure they're ready for the fight. And it does look like Nico Killerman not going to hold back here. Gildenaes going and giving it everything he's got. Nico looks for the inside line, going to try, go for the pass. Couldn't quite get it done and dusted. We'll have to wait it out just a little bit longer as Noah Hendricks starting to feel that pressure. Runs out a little bit wide. Bert Gildenaes will have to see where it's going to go here to try and get the pass on Nico Killerman, who's not backing down. And don't count out Willem Pienaar. He's slowly but surely starting to break down that gap. Bert Gildenaes currently the fastest in the pack. Not by much though. And he's going to have to try and figure out where can he get the drive. How far can they go up the road? Nose to tail, left to right, trying to see where he can go and get that pass done and dusted. The BMWs really putting on a great show. It's first, second, and third, all within shot, all within striking distance, all being pretty much on the same level here to get in for the fight. We do see our Gen 3 supercars making their way through the round, and it does look like Bert did look for the inside line, wasn't close enough. Noah Hendricks runs in a little bit too wide, and it is Nico Killerman with a quick snapback to get it done and dusted, locking down Bert Gildenaes, who had to slow up. Side by side they go. Noah sweeps across the nose to go and protect his position. Bert Gildenaes looking around the outside, through the king. Couldn't quite get it done and dusted. Nico Killerman going to guard his line. Looks for the inside as well. Watching his mirrors left and right. These three are absolutely throwing down at one another. And Noah Hendricks just maintaining some forward of a lead. And it's going to be such a battle on the way through. Nico around the outside. Looks to try and get it done. A little bit too wide though, as he will get the drive, but just losing out on the debris. And Bert Hildenace to take a look on the way through, as we are getting reports that it looks like Johan Begor-Krobler and Paul Herber landed up with a little bit of a tussle with one another and going and touching ever so slightly. Both still going on, but an absolutely wonderful time. Taking a look at Chris, who's a big fan out there in the virtual grandstands of the BMW brand, and well, you're getting to see the BMW M2 CSRs go and show off what they can do, and well, rather impressive machinery, much like our Gen 3 Supercars that are leading out the pack. We do have the likes of Julian Familiaris, multiple national V8 champion here in South Africa, is showing off his stride in the Gen 3 Supercar out in the Chevrolet, hoping that he can really get the run all the way through and improving his times. He's got Johan Begor-Krobler in second place with Paul Herber lying in third. Justin Eloff running in fourth place. Arno Kraus in fifth with Luke Lucchesi running sixth, trying to make his way through. Now he's up into the battle of first, second, and third. Nico Killerman, Noah Hendricks leading out the pack. Nico Killerman in second place. And Bert Hildenace trying to get on by. And it looks like Hildenace just trying to give a little bit of room to Luke Lucchesi, but not wanting to compromise. His drive is going to let the horsepower go. Luke's going to try and clear all three before the corner, and does so. Noah Hendricks nearly losing out of position as Luke Lucchesi onto the dirt brings himself back right across the nose of Noah Hendricks. Nico going and capitalizing on the opportunity right onto the back of Noah Hendricks as they follow their way through. Noah's going to have the slipstream that's going to battle his way back on the way through, but it is going to be a tough time here, as we do see Bert Hildenace going to be first into the pits to get himself sorted. Remember, they've got one mandatory pit stop they have to serve during the course of this race, and with losing that little bit of time, he's going to try for the undercut, see where it works out for him, as we do see Nico Killerman very wide, going and diving a little bit across. Not going to be too happy there. Willem Pillon now takes third place. Julian Familiaris into the pits. Try and get himself all sorted out and see how the race is going to turn out for them on the riding order, as Noah Hendricks keeps Nico Killerman busy for the next running order. As Bert Hildenace waiting to go out yet again. We'll see Jaco van der List starting to make up some time here and looking to try and get past. Johan Begor-Krobler pulls into the pits, and that's going to allow Paul Herber to take the lead. Going to be running second place, just not close enough to Julian Familiaris, and will be holding the second place a little bit further as Johan Begor-Krobler comes to a stop in the pits. Justin Eloff is going to carry on, and it looks like Arno Kraus may have that same intention to make up that little bit of time after thrashing the tires early on. Noah Hendricks, though, on a stunning run for the Asymmetric Racing team. Nico Killerman trying to make up some time for the Dutek Simworks team, and this is the Dutek Simworks that actually makes sim racing gear here in South Africa. Huge support from him, going and cheering on their driver. And the Asymmetric Racing team have been doing everything they can to really perform in multiple leagues outside of South Africa, going and teaming up with quite a variety of drivers. And it does look like Noah Hendricks really trying to go deep into the corner, try and protect that apex as much as possible and continue on the drive. Justin Eloff, though, getting a bit of information coming from him as he fell off the circuit. And I think once again outbraking himself. Yeah, just gets it turned in. Turns the rear round. And there is Johan Begor-Krobler. Just give him a slight tap to spin him round. So a little bit of loss of traction. Did cost a bit of time. And I know that Bago will be sitting thinking, what does he need to do to try and make some time to likes of Paul Gerber up ahead. So Johan Bago Krobler hoping that he can catch up to the team tryhard. Nico Killerman looks for the inside line. Couldn't quite go for it on the way through. Has to wait it out yet again as they power their way through. These two absolutely throwing down. But remember, they've got to keep an eye out on everyone that's done pit stops behind them. Much like Julian Familiaris, he's done his pit stop. He doesn't have to worry about anything. Paul Gerber has not done his pit stop. Jan Bager-Krobler has done his pit stop. Justin Elof hasn't done a pit stop. Oh, as we do see, that is Noah Hendricks really going wide out of the corner and losing out a bit of drive there. Nico Killerman's going to have a good go at him as they chase down nose to tail, really keeping on the power here and just not able to get a huge run. As we go to our speed cams, get a bit of a sense of what happens as the drivers come launching their way through. Beautiful shots of the BMW M2 CSRs with Noah Hendricks just keeping ahead of Nico Killerman, but only just at this point. Who's going to pull into the pits? And it looks like Noah Hendricks baited in for a move to allow Nico Killerman to take the lead of the race for the BMW M2 CSR class. Our Gen 3 Supercars still going and running as they are, with Luke Lucchesi up into 5th place, trying to really get a little bit more of a climb. Willem Pienaar will take 2nd place of the BMW M2s, yet to pit though. Luke Lucchesi very, very far back from the rest of the drivers, looking at around about 13 seconds as he just tries to keep it all in check here, as Paul Gerber now into the pits to get himself sorted out. He's going to be watching very carefully where Johan Bago-Krobler is, who comes around really trying to make his way through. It's going to be a double right-hander he has to contend with, braking and trail braking in the right-hand corner. Quick power down the little straight and continue on the power all the way through as they make their way through. So Johan Bago-Krobler looking to try and get ahead as Paul Gerber just getting going. It's going to be close though as they get onto the power, and it does look like Paul Gerber, unfortunately not quick enough to get out of the pits, has Johan Bago-Krobler once again back ahead of him and ensuring they can take on for the fight. Let's see how it's going to all pan out during the course of the race. 22 minutes completed. Still a long time of racing to go for our drivers. So running through our order at the moment, it is Julian Familiaris out in the front of the pack, really doing everything he can. And after a successful weekend down in Quebec of racing a 5-hour endurance race, he jumps back into, well, the rival brand car instead of the Ford Mustang, the IRC Ford Mustang he was driving. He's gone back into a Chevrolet, which he's very familiar with due to the Mobil 1 V8s, and really showing off that top-notch driving flight. Johan Bago-Krobler, also multiple champion here in iRacing, trying to contend with the sister team of Paul Gerber, and these two have got a long history with one another, doing exactly this, side-by-side battling on the way through from Assetto Corsa Competizione. And Paul Gerber, after chomping at the bit to get back behind the wheel after the birth of his little daughter, who has been giving him a fair amount of grey hairs, he is now chasing down Johan Bago-Krobler all the way through, trying to figure out where can he get the drive. Nose to tail they go, giving it every bit of power as they get past the likes of Noah Hendricks, who runs in 3rd, gets right onto the back of them, and it does show the closing speed of the BMW when it gets pulled into the slipstream last minute, and where these big Gen 3 supercars, they put offline, it gets a little bit tricky. They haven't got as much aero as you think they would, and remember, they do not have TC, they do not have ABS, they have a sequential gearbox that you have to have a clutch as well to get them off the line. Heel and toe blip all the way through to get them up and down through the gears. So it is quite busy to go and fight it out. But these two are putting on such a great show. And I think Ford as a whole will be more than happy as Krobler moving a little bit to the right just to defend his line, does move back to the racing line. Paul Gerber, on the other hand, now throwing down hands, trying to figure out where can he get by. Nose to tail all the way through, runs out a little bit wide, continues on the drive to really put the pressure as they go and give it everything they got. I mean, this is just what we love to see. Close racing throughout, and the drivers having to fight it out. Nonetheless, looking left, looking right, on the brakes, turns it in, late apex, trying to take an earlier line and see if he can keep it just a little bit tighter to make it work for the running, as Noah Hendricks closing up to get the pass on. Oh, big tank slapper for Paul Gerber. Brings it back and catches it yet again. Cost him a bit of time there, but what a save for Paul Gerber to get himself sorted. I mean, that was a bit of a wild moment for P2. So let's quickly go back and try and take a look at where it all changed. And that was under braking, where Johan Vega Krobler got the pass done and dusted and immediately went on the defense to try and keep him at bay. And what a stunning run. But the sideways action that happened just really made up the drive. Luke Lucchesi now up into 4th place as on across into the pits. Nico Killerman leads out the pack, yet to do his pit stop, with Noah Hendricks in 2nd place. But Bert Kildenace, rinse and repeat of what we saw when the trio were fighting originally. It's now a duo, it's a ballet, it's a show, it's a tango, and it is all about the BMW brand at the moment as Noah Hendricks runs out a little bit wide. Immediately, Bert Kildenace looks around the inside. It's a drag race through. Kildenace has got the run. Can he keep it going? Will Noah Hendricks be able to sweep across the nose? And does so, keeping his foot absolutely planted. Late brakes, tries to sling it through, really leaning on the right-hand side of the car as he tries to compress that suspension, going and begging it to hold on. For dear life, a tank slapper on the way through. Kildenace nearly into the back of him, side by side yet again as they come across. Late under the brakes, and Noah Hendricks trail braking all the way through, runs out wide. He is absolutely throwing it in, and Kildenace is just absolutely hammering it on the way. I mean, this is 2nd place, but they are giving it their absolute all. And Nico Killerman into the pits. We'll be seeing these duos fight it out, thinking, what do I need to do to get out of the pits early enough that I don't have the undercut killing me off here? Well, Nico, you're going to have a tough time as you're still weighing in the pits, and Noah Hendricks takes 1st place of the BMWs with the likes of Kildenace on the back of him. Nico Killerman now only rolling out of pits just at the moment. There we go. Should be able to hear me now. Looks like a little bit of a loose cable. I do apologize. I got too excited with the action that we've got out on circuit. And I managed to, well, chuck out the cable. I mean, why not? It's exciting for what we have here. As Kildenace and Noah Hendricks absolutely fighting it out, doing everything they can. And Noah Hendricks still holding on to first place. Bert Kildenace in second place. Nico Killerman running a little bit further down in fourth place, battling out with Jakob van Litsar. Running order, 32 minutes into the race. Julian Familiaris, Johan Grobler, Paul Herbert, Luke Lucchesi, Justin Nieloff, Arno Kraus of our Gen 3 Supercars. And for our BMW M2s that we have been holding on to, all the action at the moment is Noah Hendricks, Bert Kildenace, along with Jakob van Lith, Nico Killerman, going and fighting it out. Willem Pienaar, and we cannot forget about Robbie Teens in the DHL colours, going and really making his way through. Willem Pienaar in the Castrol colours, running in fifth place, keeping it consistent the whole way through. That's all you need to do to score the points to make it work. Noah Hendricks, though, looking to try and hold on. He's up 5 positions. Remember, started out in last place. He is now throwing down Kildenace, sliding around underneath him, and doing everything he can to stay in for the fight as they battle their way through. And hopefully audio problems all sorted out by the looks of it. And our drivers are still heating up all the action here for all our classes. Despite being a smaller entry than we used to, but the action is absolutely on point at the moment as Kildenace going to wait it out. This is late braking. Oh, that's Justin Nieloff going and locking up the anchors, falling off the circuit. That is him going and having to wait it out for Noah Hendricks. And it is going to be a huge, huge run. So Noah Hendricks, along with Kildenace, going and making the way through. I mean, this is just some tight, impressive action for all our drivers as they make their way through. A big welcome to you all once again. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's beautiful to have you all. We've got Chris and we have got Roy Oxabaja going and joining us as well. No, Chris, big fan of the BMWs to really see it all the way through. Oh, bit of off-road action. Rallycross coming into play there. And Noah Hendricks, along with Kildenace, going and sending themselves off into the dirt, getting a little bit of dirt onto those tires, now having to scrub it off at the same time, while fighting tooth and nail at this point with Justin Nieloff. Suddenly starting to close up that gap yet again. Runs out a little bit wide. Kildenace trying to utilize everything he can. Justin Nieloff onto the back of the two, will try and figure out where he can utilize the power, sling past these two and continue on the fight. I mean, this is just wild all the way through. Up on the inside, he's got to get past. Late on the anchors, sends it for the pass. And wow, oh wow, this is just turning into a huge, huge running order with Kildenace and Noah Hendricks trying to get a little bit more momentum underneath them. Absolutely fighting it tooth and nail as they really keep on to the powers, trying to see where they can go. Who's going to be able to finish where? As Kildenace up on the inside, it's going to throw the hammer down, launches for the pass. Noah Hendricks gives him the room and tries to go for the undercut. He's got it as Bert Kildenace ran it too deep into the corner, and that unfortunately did not help him out. Too late on the brakes, caught out and lost out that drive. Jakob van Lith and Nico Killerman still battling it out between the two of them, holding out for third place as we start ticking over. 4 minutes is till the end of the race, and drivers are giving it their absolute all. Julian Familiaris out in first place, constantly keeping up the time and really banging in those really, really incredible lap times at the moment, with the best lap time being set of a 1:43.01 of Julian Familiaris. Johan Krobler running in second place, taking a bit of a breather as Paul Herbert 4 seconds back. Luke Lucchesi trying to make up some time after a horrific start. And we got Justin Nieloff trying to make up some time. He's in fifth. Arno Kraus is in sixth. First of our BMWs is Noah Hendricks with Bert Gildenhuys as we rejoin the battle yet again. And I do not want to forget about Jaco van Lith and Nico Killerman running 3rd and 4th. They are fighting out for last of the podium. Willem Pinault running in 5th with Robbie Teens in 6th, scoring some major points here. If they can keep up the momentum. And this is going to be a bit of a wild one. Late on the anchors, trying to go for the send. Couldn't quite get it done and dusted. Has to see where he can go. And absolutely hammering down. Looks nose to tail on the way through. Gildenhuys not backing down from the fight. Will try and figure out what's going to be the best option here. Noah Hendricks now opening up a bit of a slipstream for him. It's going to have to be another royal send into the hairpin. Close up under the slipstream. Is it going to be enough though for Gildenhuys? Can he get it stopped on the brakes? Looks to go around the outside. And Noah Hendricks is stuck on his inside. He goes for the undercut. Can he get on the power early enough? And unfortunately, not Noah Hendricks. Just having that little bit more leg room to get a bit of a drive on the exit. Does look like Jaco van Lith starting to open up that gap to Nico Killerman. But this is a fight and a half out in front. And Noah Hendricks still maintaining a phenomenal drive. Now I've got to ask a question to our fans out there in the grandstand. Who do you think has got this one in the bag? Is it going to be Noah Hendricks, Bert Gildenhuys, or do you think the upset of the century going to happen and Jaco van Lith and Nico Killerman might come in first? Let us know before the end of the race, as you got 2 minutes for it. Gildenhuys throwing the car up on the inside of Noah Hendricks. Couldn't quite get the drive as they continue on this absolutely stellar run. Jaco van Lith going and dealing with the likes of the Vault. And that is Julian Familiaris getting the pass done and dusted. He has got just one more lap to contend and will be really getting onto the power to try and open up a distance. White flag waved as they come through. Drivers absolutely giving it everything for the final lap of the race. It is going to be a monster battle as Gildenhuys looks up on the inside of Noah Hendricks. Jaco van Lith and Nico Killerman still staying on the power, still staying right up against each other, trying everything they can to try and hold that 3rd place. And I mean, it's absolutely wild here for the BMW M2 class. So close, so amazing, so many fights, and really going to test out my voice all the way through as Gildenhuys just not having the drive. Looks for the undercut, gets on the power a little bit early, right onto the back of Noah Hendricks. Not able to get it going. He's hanging in there for everything he's got. Once Julian Familiaris gets ahead of them, that is it. That is the end of their fight. But if Julian remains where he is, that means they are going to continue one more lap. So it's in Julian's hands here. Noah Hendricks trying to hold him at bay with Gildenhuys hunting down. Is Julian going to allow this fight to continue? Jaco van Lith and Nico Killerman will be on their final lap. It's down to the line for them as they fight their way through. Noah Hendricks just hanging on for dear life, hoping that Julian will get past them, that he will try and make it stick for him, try solve the inside line. Noah Hendricks going to do everything he can. Checker flag's going to come out for Julian Familiaris, and unfortunately, once they come across the line, Julian takes the checkered, but it's Noah Hendricks and Gildenhuys have one more lap in them. Jaco van Lith will hold on to 3rd with Nico Killerman in 4th. Julian Familiaris has given one more lap to the BMWs as Gildenhuys gets a pass done, and Noah Hendricks going up on the inside. Side by side they go. Johan Bago Krobler will take 2nd place of the Supercars along with Paul Gerber, Luke Lucchesi, Justin Eloff and Honor Kraus. And it is Willem Pinault that takes 5th along with Robbie Teens in 6th place. But 1st and 2nd of the BMWs is still on. They were just ahead of Julian Familiaris. Nico Killerman going and losing out to Jaco van Lith, but it is Gildenhuys and Hendricks one more time to make it stick. And Noah is doing everything. Gildenhuys is throwing down the gauntlet at him. These two got one more lap. Noah Hendricks runs out wide. His tyres are chowed. He's trying to hold the inside. Hildenace runs out wide. Side by side they go. And it is into the closing stages. It is going to be late on the anchors to get it done and dusted. Both of them, door to door, wing mirror to wing mirror. No one giving up. Hildenace, Noah Hendricks, only a couple of corners to go. Noah stuck on the outside. He's going to have the advantage into the double right hand. Can he hold it? As Hildenace going to try and get the pass around the outside. Swings it out wide. Comes back at Noah Hendricks. Drag race down to the line in the slipstream. All the way through. Who's going to get it? And it is Noah Hendricks ahead of Bert Hildenace right at the end. Wow, oh wow, man oh man, thank you Julian for not passing them, thank you for that other lap. What a race down to the wire, and I don't know about you folks, but that was what we love to see, and drivers fought it out till the wire, man oh man. So Julian Familiaris will take the win of the race here at the beautiful Hockenheim, along with Johan Begor-Krubler. Paul Gerber taking third, Luke Lucchesi takes fourth place, Justin Nieloff takes fifth, and Arno Kraus takes sixth place. Moving on to our BMW M2 CSRs. I mean, take a look at this. Noah Hendricks finished down first place with 0.2 of a second separating himself, and Bert Hildenace in second. Jaco van der Lith taking third place, only a fraction ahead of Nico Killerman when it came across the line in fourth. Willem Pienaar in fifth. Robbie Teens takes sixth place. Man, that was a race and a half here at Hockenheim. And man, oh man, that was a serious amount of fun to commentate on. I won't lie, folks. I seriously enjoyed that one. And I really, really hope we can get to chat to the drivers on their race. Give us a bit of insight of how it all went. Where did it all go? How was their race? Especially like Noah Hendricks, Bert Hildenace. I'd love to get their feel from it, along with Jaco van der Lith, Julian Familiaris to come in and talk about not only having to adapt to the Chev and really keeping it consistent, but Johan Begor-Krubler and Paul Gerber, after their ding-dong battle, was incredible. Talking about that, though, we do have our interviews starting to come through, and I'm absolutely in a huge, huge smile. We're going to have Johan Begor-Krubler to come and have a chat to us. An absolute monster. Oh, never mind. He's just disappeared. Totally gone out of it. So let's bring them through with Johan Begor-Krubler, who finished up in second place, to give us a bit of an idea on how his race went. Johan, welcome to the commentary box. Absolutely beautiful to have you here. And what a race, man. That was absolutely wild.
Yeah, thanks, Steven. Good to be in the box for a change. Yeah, Paul had me sweating there pretty much the whole race. That was small field, but good fun, good racing. Enjoyed that.
Now, take us through that fight, because you and Paul have got a long history with one another, coming over from Assetto Corsa Competizione, heading into iRacing. It just seemed like it was evenly matched right the way through. He's got you in some corners, you had him in others. What was the game plan? Because even the pit stops came into play to get you up. I mean, take us through that race.
Yeah, me and Paul, we've been friends since primary school, so there's a big but friendly rivalry whenever we race. So it was fun to get one over him for a change. Yeah, look, I think I didn't actually think I would have the pace to beat him, but after what happened at the start, I had the track position, so that was key. I think I could just place the car in the right places and sort of make him overdrive his car, and that seemed to work in the end.
And take us through, I mean, Gen 3 Supercars, Hockenheim, not a usual combo that we get to run into a lot. Take us through the race for you to take these behemoths around such a technical circuit.
It's actually quite a fun combo. I really enjoyed it. Big braking zone into the hairpin, obviously, and then a massive traction zone out of there as well. And the long straight where you really get to stretch the legs. So good fun. And then obviously being smooth and precise, which I wasn't many of those things, but it worked out at the end through the technical section. So it's a very challenging but very rewarding combo.
Well, absolutely incredible stuff. And walking away with some good points for the championship now that we're getting closer and closer to the end. I mean, you came into the this race 7th at the moment, with your drop rounds being round 2 and round 3. 111 points. Scoring second is a big jump and will move you up in the order. Paul Herber was running 5th in the championship. Do you think that it's going to come down to the wire to really step up the game, get it close into the fight, and really chase down the sharp end of the field?
I hope so. I think the top sort of two or three guys have sort of run away with the championship, so they've got their own fight going. But yeah, I think for me, top 5 is still on. I hope we get bigger grids in the next few rounds. That'll be nice. But yeah, we take the points when we get them, eh?
Absolutely. Well, Jan Beger Grobler of Hybrid Racing, before I let you go and enjoy the celebrations and wipe the sweat from your brow and try and squeeze the seat so there isn't any water left in it, anything you would like to say to our amazing partners here at Raceface.Pro, and also to all the drivers, the teams, and most importantly, I think you and I will agree, the absolute petrol heads that tune in and watch and be a part of it in the virtual grandstands?
Yeah, just a big shout out to everybody at Raceface though, and everybody that's involved there on the iRacing side for giving us not one but two great leagues to race, and obviously to the drivers that pitched up tonight. Thank you guys for an awesome race, and to those who didn't, I hope we get to see you guys next week and going forward. And then, yeah, like you say, to everybody that tunes into YouTube every week and supports, it's amazing to have a platform where we can hopefully entertain you guys. So keep tuning in.
Well, you most certainly entertained tonight. Johan Beger Grobler, well done, and thank you very much for the race. It was a pleasure.
Cheers, Steven.
Well, absolutely brilliant stuff. Talking about it, though, we are going to bring in our race winner, Julian Familiaris, who took the overall race win and class win here tonight. Julian Familiaris, welcome to the commentary box. Man, oh man, what a week it has been for you. Down in Quebec, racing a IRC Ford Mustang, coming 5th in that running order despite all the odds. Now coming to Raceface, jumping back into a Chev, which, well, you're quite familiar with Chevs, taking the entire of the race win, but having to be consistent. It seemed like it was a bit of a difficult combo with the Gen 3 Supercar and Hockenheim.
Hi, Stephen. Yeah, look, I'm still recovering from the weekend, but it was nice to hop onto the sim tonight. I didn't do much practice, so I loaded my setup in quali and qualified on full fuel. So, yeah, I got a bit worried about the pace there. And then I spoke to Luke Nye. He lost full control of his wheel on the start. So obviously couldn't engage gear or put the car on, and then half the field drove into him. But yeah, look, I felt treated the whole race, as if he was there. I always use this as training and to keep the lap consistent, one after the other. I just kept pushing, instead of just driving around in circles. So I don't know if you even saw, I think like 3 laps to the end, I even had a moment. But yeah, it was a good race. It was a bit of a different combo compared to the last few rounds that we've had, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely great stuff. And before everything, you spoke about utilizing this for training. Do you feel that the transition from sim racing, especially with these Gen 3 supercars, going and helping you in driving stuff that's a little bit more wild out there? I mean, let's, for example, the Mobile One V8 had an H pattern that you're so familiar with, jumping into the IRC Mustang this past weekend, where it's got a sequential gearbox with the gears actually on the back of the steering wheel. Do you feel that what you've been racing here tonight helped transition over?
Look, I think jumping from the IRC into the Gen 3 is quite familiar. You're just obviously missing the traction and ABS. So it's a bit of a different driving style. But I think what helps us, Stephen, is in the past, myself and, a whole bunch of drivers, we used to jump in between races, without practicing. We'd jump different classes. And, what it taught us to do was to adapt, within 10, 15 minutes. And I think, with what that taught me was over time to hop into a car and kind of concentrate on what gearbox the car has, what driving style it kind of requires. You might not be on the pace immediately, but it does give a good idea initially that you can just hop in and jump from H patterns and cars with traction and cars without. So I think that has assisted me. But I definitely feel that the Gen 3 does correlate to the RC the most, especially with it's no margin for error, and keeping concentration for 45 minutes. On the weekend I had a 1 hour 50 stint, so it did take quite a lot of concentration, and I think the two do assist each other.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. And talking about the carry over from sim racing, but you also with a long legacy in racing, whole family has got a very long legacy within the sport itself, sim racing being that little bit of a climb. You're currently, in points wise, leading a championship. We do know that Ryan Ottens has been given the overall win for season 1, which means you're racing for season 2. You're feeling a little bit more confident that you're ahead of Luke Lucchese into the final rounds. The next one is going to be a street circuit to contend with, something that the Gen 3 supercars are very familiar with, bouncing over and really trying to get it all together. Do you feel that you can carry a lot of what you know from your real world side of racing into sim racing that you've adapted over the course of the years from GT3s, Porsche Cups, and many, many more of those into taking this behemoth to the line and going for the win?
Yeah, look, I think Luke has found quite a lot of pace in the last 2-3 rounds. I'm sure he's been doing a few laps there, but it's Snetterton. He had really good pace. So I mean, his quality now in Hockenheim was very good. So I don't think he's gonna take it lying down, but we'll have fun to the end. And I think Long Beach is going to be a bit of a difficult one. These cars start to get loose, especially after the pit stop for some reason. But we got to keep it clean, just try and finish the races, and where we end, and we'll keep pushing to the end.
Looks like my mic dropped out. Do apologize.
No problem.
Before I let you go, anything you would like to say to the amazing partners here we have here at Raceface.Pro, but also to everyone out there, all the drivers, the teams, but also the most important part, the amazing petrol heads that we have watching from the virtual grandstands here at Raceface.Pro, getting to see these type of battles. Any advice and anything you would like to say to them?
Yeah, thank you to everyone who comes out every Tuesday, watches the stream, supports the series, and thank you to yourself and the whole crew behind the scenes. Yourself, though, it's something to look forward to, and I think the series, the series keeps a lot of guys motivated. Every Tuesday to hop between the V8 and the GT3s. So it is a nice league, and I think everyone's starting to get used to the guys on the grid, and we're starting to race amongst each other with confidence. So hopefully we can have the same guys plus additional into the next season.
Absolutely great stuff. Well, it's going to be a wild one. And we're looking forward to seeing how the championship goes and see how the battle goes. Julian Familiaris, thank you very much for joining us this evening. And we look forward to seeing you heading into the GT3s next week. But we look forward to seeing what you can do at Long Beach in the brute force Gen 3 Supercars. Well, that being said, we are going to say farewell to everyone. Thank you very much for joining us here at Raceface.Pro. We're looking forward to seeing all the incredible action heading into next week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon. Let us know what was your favorite side-by-side moment, and we can't wait to see how it goes. Noah Hendricks, well done on your part. We're waiting for chats with you, but it's all good. We'll catch you next time on your absolute slugfest. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for joining us here at Raceface.Pro for the Gen 3 Supercars versus BMW M2s. It's been a wild one. It's been an exciting one. Until next time, we will see you soon. And like always, a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening